from that side, and we'll be continuing to follow the journey from JKIA all the way to Kamukunji. Right now we get to the conversation. Thank you so much, Elias Omondi, for being here. We are now going to be talking about Isurtech. When we look at Isurtech and we look at the insurance sector, you've been an expert at this. You've been working in this sector for almost 10 years plus. When it comes to technology in insurance, where are we in terms of embracing technology?
Yeah, so we've seen quite a tremendous change. Currently, from where I sit, I've seen a lot of adoption of technology, not only within the insurance space, but basically look at the entire value chain, whereby we are looking at building resilience within communities. So we've kind of seen a lot of transformation, kind of moving away from what we used to call product-centric solutions to more customer-centric solutions, whereby we are trying to see how best we can provide solutions that do give customers an opportunity to address the risks that they are currently facing. Mm-hmm. And this is in a way that we've seen various companies trying to bring in products that are more needful to the citizens of the country, whereby we are looking at how then can we get these particular products available to them in a more seamless way. So we've seen companies using mobile technology to provide solution to their clients. We've seen companies kind of reducing the channels of payment, whereby nowadays we see companies even trying to use channels such as M-Pesa to purchase this particular product. So there's a big shift in terms of how companies are now delivering their solutions to the customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, and also now with time, the insurance industry is now embracing even more things such as AI, such as the machine learning and also other technologies. But let us focus on AI. When you look at artificial intelligence and how it's coming into the field to try and ease up the way some tasks are being done, what are we looking at in terms of expanding this particular scope when it comes to artificial intelligence being introduced into the insurance industry?
Yeah, so what artificial intelligence will be able to do, will be able to enable us come up with the right risk metrics. You know, mm-hmm. the way products were being priced before, there are quite a number of challenges in terms of how we could use those data sets and come up with the right pricing. Now, AI have kind of simplified that in terms of we are able to use the right data, we are able to use the right metrics in terms of determining what is the right price of these particular products. What will that mean? It will mean that our products will become more affordable because we are able to kind of look at all the metrics that will provide the right price for these particular products. The second thing that we are likely to see is that we are likely to even do proper assessment of the risks that have already occurred. So in terms of how then the distribution and also the assessment of those particular risks will be made easier. So what does that mean to the insurance industry? It will mean that we are going to price the products more rightly. We are going to get the right products to the people. At the same time, the industry will be able to know what risks they're dealing with. Previously, they couldn't get all the insights on the data that they had received. But with digital technologies and things such as machine learning and artificial intelligence, then we are going to get the right price. We are going to get the right products going to the public, but also the company systems in terms of how they assess mm-hmm. and manage these particular risks will be done in a very clear manner.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also, when you look at this, the challenges in terms of trying to embrace this, because one area can, or one company can embrace this, but others are still really they're just conservative when it comes to maybe trying to look at the technology and trying to embrace technology. So how do you make sure that at least almost everyone in Kenya, because I was reading earlier, almost a little bit, maybe 200,000 people in Kenya believe in using the technology on insurance, and they are using it. So in terms of trying to embrace this whole idea, what needs to be done to companies in order for them to be convinced that this is the way to go?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And basically, I want to kind of step back a bit. Mm-hmm. If you look at the law of diffusion, particularly around innovation, 2.5% will be innovators. Then you get around 6.5% that those particular people will be early takers of these innovations. But the huge chunk are either early starters or people that will wait and see. So wait and see approach kind of comes into play. Now, what do we really need to do? Now, the key thing that we need to do is basically trying to bring the industry together to create what we call an innovation ecosystem. And that is what, as FSD Africa, we've been trying to do, trying to bring all actors together, because the customers need the solutions. Innovation will enable us to solve the challenges that we're currently facing in this country, but also across the continent, particularly issues that are, such as climate change. So what we really need to do is to call upon the industry to act together, because with only one company going ahead and trying to solve the challenges that we are currently seeing, we might not get the rightful result. So the key thing is that we need to bring the sector together. As FSD Africa, we've been running a program whereby we are trying to enable innovators to come up with solutions to the industry. We are bringing in the insurance industry sector to work together with the innovators, because that is key. We have to move together, and this program, we usually call it Bima Lab, and we are happy that the insurance regulator in Kenya has been supporting that. The insurance industry has been with us on that particular front. We really need to work together to enable us to get innovation to be entrenched in this country.
All right, Elias, we're just going to hold you a bit. I'm being informed that the convoy of Raila Odinga is just passing outside the Standard Group headquarters right here on Mombasa Road. There they are. We can see them there. And remember, this conversation that they're going to be having and the rally is on the Finance Bill Act of 2023 that President William Ruto signed yesterday. And some of the contentious issues in this finance bill is the 8% VAT added on fuel. And remember, right now, it's starting from 1st of July, it's going to be 16% now on the VAT on fuel. We also have the 1.5% tax on housing, which is now a tax. It was a levy. Remember, first of all, when it came out, it was 3%. Housing levy, and also it was just reviewed down to 1.5 housing levy, and now it's a tax. So these are some of the contentious issues that will be discussed during that rally and the way forward. All right, now we are going to go on with the conversation, even as we keep tabs with the convoy. All right, Elias, now let's continue and also look at COVID-19. When COVID-19 came, not very many companies had technology, had Isurtech just included in their. Can I talk about maybe the way they run their activities? So COVID-19 came and almost it took a wave in Africa. Speak to us about this.
Yes, I usually say that COVID-19 was a very good strategy for various companies, not only within the insurance sector, but also within the financial sector. Because for those companies that had been sitting with strategies that we really need to go ahead and innovate, COVID-19 catalyzed innovation, because one, mobility was a very big issue. In terms of personal interactions was kind of curtailed, and the only thing that companies did was to look at how then do we still reach our customers. So I usually say that COVID-19 was the best strategy to kind of catalyze innovation. But within that, we've seen also various risks coming into play, because if you look at the other challenges that are facing the financial sector, particularly the insurance sector, we really need to provide products to people that are in the remote places. And how do we do that? The only way to access and to reach these particular people is through technology. The other component is that we still have lower literacy levels within the insurance sector. The only way to provide these particular persons with rightful products and rightful solutions is through technology. Last but not least, with COVID-19, people needed to look at how they manage cost. How do you reduce your business operational cost within the office? And that basically meant that there was need to adopt technology. Currently, we are seeing various risks currently emerging, things as climate change, things as carbon markets. And what does that mean? We really need to look at how then we embrace technology to enable us to save the environment, save the markets that we are currently in, manage the costs that we are currently experiencing, and that basically means that we are going to see a lot of technology and a lot of innovation being adopted not only within the insurance sector, but also within the financial sector, but also within other sectors that we will currently be experiencing what technology can provide to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, let's look at data privacy. When it comes to this issue, we just look at data privacy and how customers who are using these platforms, for example, the applications that are on mobile phones. If a company comes with an application on insurance on their phones, when it comes to data privacy, what can we look at in terms of trying to make sure that it's not a way in which data can be breached when it comes to various aspects in the insurance sector?
Yeah, so importantly, when we talk about innovation, there are innovation risks that come through, and one of the key risks that comes in mind is data protection and issues around data privacy. Now, what we've seen across various jurisdictions, and including here in Kenya, we've seen the government coming up with what we call Data Protection Act. And that is really critical, because most of the data sets that customers are going to provide to these particular financial institutions, including insurance companies, will be with the third parties. The key thing is that how is my data going to be protected? Now, what we've seen is that the law currently entrenches how this particular data has to be processed, has to be stored, and also has to be in one way or the other transferred. With that, then it means that all the companies have to adhere to the Data Protection Act through the Data Commissioner, which is an office that has already been set up in Kenya. We are also looking at various companies right now setting up what we call data offices, in terms of having a data protection officer, just to make sure that they are well abreast with the legal issues surrounding data protection. They are going to protect these particular data sets, and also dealing with issues such as cybersecurity issues that might arise out of technology. The key thing is that technology is important, but also we must be aware of these particular risks that come up with issues around innovation. We have to adhere with the data protection issues, but also ensure that this particular client's data is well protected, and we are currently putting mechanisms to deal away with issues such as cyber risks.
Yeah. And even speaking about the client, when you look at in terms of trying to reach each and every client, how do we make sure that Isurtech reaches the low-income earners, the households in Kenya from all over, even the remote areas? What needs to be done for it to just reach them, and they have at least some bit of knowledge when it comes to Isurtech?
Yeah, so and that's a key issue that needs to be solved, because if you look at where Africa is, including Kenya, and maybe if I give you a bit of statistics, you know, the insurance penetration in Kenya is around 2.34% of the GDP. 9 years ago, we were at around 3.4%. That means that we've kind of gone down around 1 percentage point, yet the economy has been growing. So it has not grown in commensurate with what the economy kind of dictates in this country. And that basically means that there are so many people living without any form of protection. They are basically left to deal with their risks through maybe selling of assets or using loans and basically disposing of whatever they have had earned. Now, what does that mean to us? We really need to bring together the Isurtechs to address these particular people that do not have any form of coverage, are staying in remote places, they are faced with various risks. And the way to do that is we need to come up with what we call strategic partnerships. We need to bring in the insurance industry, the insurance companies. They need to work with the innovators. The innovators need to develop these particular products. They need to pass it with the strategic partners such as insurance companies. We need to bring in the technology companies, but also just to ensure that there's consumer education. We need to educate the public in remote places and also in urban areas the importance of insurance, because for them not really understanding why insurance is needed, then they might not really be able to run away from these risks that are always taking them back to poverty. So the key thing is that we have to work together to increase not only the penetration that we see in this particular country, but also across the continent, because not only Kenya, the entire continent is still at a very low level of insurance penetration. Just to mention, we are just below 3%, yet the world average requires 7%.
If
you look at that, in terms of climate vulnerability, The continent is still experiencing various climate issues, drought. Farmers require some form of insurance to protect their crops, but also to make sure that there is some element of food security. So we must work together. We must bring technology into the picture. We must bring the other industry leaders, including insurance companies, to really meet this particular need that citizens are really facing at this particular moment.
All right, and also still on the issue, because below 3%, which that is like contributing to the GDP 3%, and world over is 7%. So therefore, the percentages are really, really dismal. So when it comes to trying to seal these gaps, so that at least we are susceptible to natural calamities, when COVID-19, when we are hit by diseases and calamities, what needs to be done in order for us to bridge these gaps? Because going forward, when something comes, maybe a fire comes and wipes over, like in Australia when we saw forests being wiped over by wildfires, what needs to be done in order for us to be cushioned and be ready for such disasters?
Yeah, so this requires a very concerted effort, not only by the private sector, but also we really need to bring in the public sector into the equation. Because if you look at where the continent is, and even where we are as a country, there's need to address these particular challenges, and we already know these particular challenges. For instance, we know there is weak demand for risk transfer solutions, whereby in case there is a calamity, the key thing that people will remain with is you look at your neighbor, or you'll need to look at your assets. Then it means that how then do we ensure that there will be demand for these particular solutions? The second thing is around supply. Are we going to provide rightful products to these particular persons? The last thing is government regulations. How will the regulations that are going to be set up by the government enable the flow of these particular solutions? The key thing is that there should be a proper government budgeting to address these particular disasters, whereby the government works with the private sector to address these particular needs. The second thing is that we have to come up with the rightful products, and those particular products must be developed by the insurance companies, including the innovators, to bring those particular products to the equation. And the last thing is that these particular products must be affordable, because without affordability, people will not be able to purchase them. Without them really meeting the needs of the people, then there will not be in any way, in a way that people will consume them in the rightful way. So the key thing is that we have to bring all our efforts together, both private, public, to really address the challenges that we are currently facing in this country and also across the continent.
All right, thank you so much, Elias. We need to go for a short break, but on your screens, we have the motorcade of Azimio leader Raila Odinga just going through Haile Selassie to Kamukunji. And remember, Martha Karua, Wiper leader, also Kalonzo Musyoka, will be among the leaders attending the forum to debunk the tax hikes. Also, police have given a green light really for Azimio rally in Kamukunji, and the police officers have also said that they will allow today's Azimio meeting in Kamukunji. So and remember, Nairobi Inspector General Police Adamson Bungei also said that they have deployed more